All right, so it's August 13th. Going to be talking about the Marion County Record raid, where the police raided a newspaper in clear violation of multiple federal laws, one would think. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the new developments and then share some of my thoughts. I actually live near Marion, not too far away. It's maybe 60 miles from where I live. I've been there before. I've even met one of the 5 cops on the force. So I'm interested in this case. So let's look at it. So from the Kansas Reflector by Rachel Mipro, KBI director on Marion County newspaper raid, media is not above the law. Okay, we can all agree there. Let's talk about what law they broke. The top law enforcement officer in Kansas appeared to justify a Marion County search warrant that led to an unprecedented raid on a local newspaper and potentially contributed to the death of the paper's co-owner. We'll talk more on that. Kansas Bureau of Investigation Director Tony Mativi released a statement Sunday following widespread outrage of Friday's raid, in which local law enforcement seized computers, cell phones, and other reporting materials from the Marion County Record Office and publisher Eric Meyer's home. The raid was part of an investigation into the alleged identity theft of a restaurant owner who had clashed with the paper. So remember, that's the crime, identity theft. A KBI statement provided to ABC News said that Mativi very strongly believed in free speech and freedom of the press, but he felt that the KBI needed to be able to investigate, quote, credible allegations, end quote. Quote, in order to investigate and gather facts, the KBI commonly executes search warrants on police departments, sheriff's offices, and at city, county, and state offices, the statement read. We have investigated those who work at schools, churches, and at all level of public service. Please note that at no time did they say media organizations there. That's novel, which is what we're talking about. So why did he bring up the others? Deflection. Continuing, no one is above the law, whether a public official or representative of the media. Okay, no one is above the law. Fine. Remember that. While the Federal Privacy Protection Act protects journalists from searches, the Marion Police Department argued in a Saturday statement that the law doesn't apply when journalists are thought to be involved with criminal activity. The search warrant for the raid, signed by Magistrate Judge Linda Villar, was to look for evidence of identity theft and criminal use of a computer. The alleged victim is Carrie Newell, who owns the restaurant in Marion and was trying to obtain a liquor license. The newspaper received information from a confidential source that Newell had been convicted of a drunken driving in 2008 and had driven without a license. A reporter used the KDOR website to verify that the information was accurate, but the newspaper decided not to publish a story about the information. Meyer said he had notified local police of the situation before the raid. Marion police had coordinated with the KBI earlier in the week to launch the investigation. Though the KBI assigned an agent to the case on August 8th that has been, quote, assisting since that time, end quote, KBI representatives stressed that the KBI agent didn't apply for the search warrants and was not present when the warrants were served. On Saturday, the newspaper reported the death of 98-year-old Joan Meyer, Eric's mother and co-owner of the Marion County Record. Joan Meyer, who lived with Eric, had been at home at the time of the raid. The paper said she was, quote, stressed beyond her limits and overwhelmed, end quote, when she died just a day after the raid. So the KBI is basically saying, well, there was a allegation of identity theft. Now, so the story is fairly straightforward here. So Newell is applying for a liquor license. She had a DUI in 2008, drove without a license. Somebody reported this to the paper. The paper then verified this, which is not illegal. There's nothing illegal about going on to one of the Kansas websites. I mean, this public record. You're allowed to go look up if someone's had a DUI conviction. You can find that out. And you can also look up to verify the story. This is what the media does. They then go and tell the cops, hey, this looks criminal. And this is also somewhat lacking in both on the Reflector's part and the KBI's part. They're not discussing the fact that the clash with the paper is that this woman appears to have broken the law in her application, and the paper told the police, and now the police raided the paper. Does this make sense to anyone that the police can raid a newspaper and the home to look for confidential sources because somebody looked up a driver's license to verify that the woman had indeed had a DUI. And we're just going to sit here and act as if this is not an incredible development. And where's our Attorney General? Where is Mr. Kobach, however you say his name? Nowhere. No statement yet. I will be eagerly awaiting that from the man who claims to be all about law and order. And we're just going to let cops raid a newspaper now? Oh, and an old woman died. That's not an issue for anyone. Old woman gets raided by the cops. They're rifling through everything, and the next day she dies. I mean, she was 98, so granted her time could have been any day, but given that it was the day after the cops raided her home, highly suspicious. Of course, I expect little to come from this. I don't think that I think it'll just get swept under the rug, to be honest with you. That's the norm in our country now, is we don't really have... By the way, something to note is that newspaper is one of only a handful left in Kansas that is not owned by either Gannett or who owns USA Today now. Yeah, they're Gannett too. I think Gannett owns everything in Kansas. They're basically they all look the same. They have the same story style. It's all owned by the same set of companies. So this is one of the few left that's truly independent, and it gets raided. But that's not suspicious at all. No.